Hey, Steve here. So, day off, make another video. So, I decided to make one about albums that I didn't care for when I first heard. One of those type videos. Hopefully, I don't get a lot of hate. And these albums, on the same hand, the other criteria is that grew on me later, and now I absolutely adore them. So, it's one of those kind of videos, the love and hate and love kind of thing. So. Anyway, what I'm listening to in the background is some Aggressor, Procreate the Petrifactions, death metal from Estonia. That reminds me of Grave. When I first heard this album back in the 90s, I didn't care for it. The album cover really threw me off. Now it's a freaking gold mine of classic old school death metal. So good shit. Okay, so I'll get this started. I'm gonna show some vinyls. So first one, 1999's Immolation, Failures for Gods. And I'm gonna turn that back up. Okay, so I'm a big, huge fan of the first two records, Dawn of Possession and Here and After. And whenever I first heard this, it took me a couple of spins to get into it. I wasn't really fond of the production. Now this is one of my favorites. I love the production and everything that goes with it. Right there, I got the poster. That's how much I love this album now. Immolation, Failures for Gods, badass fucking album. I'm gonna put them back in the sleeve. It'll take me for days. So next one. When I first heard this band, I got into the Keeper of the Seven Keys and parts 1 and 2, and I really liked it. I went back and got this one, Walls of Jericho, and first heard it, I didn't like the vocalist as well as I liked the vocalist on that one. Different vocalist. I believe he's for Gamma right now, if I know my Halloween history. But yeah, a couple of spins years later, this is one of my favorite go-to speed metal bands, especially this album. It's freaking gold. I think this is just a reissue. I think, of course, I might have to fight it for y'all. Yeah, that's badass shit. So, if you ever listen to it, you're not much into this style of metal, I'll give it a couple of tries. Once it clicks, and this is a fantastic album. Halloween, Walls of Jericho. Another release. Man, I tell you what, when I first heard this, I was really disappointed. As much as the people are on their eye, but now I fucking love it. But Morbid Angel's Heretic. I first heard this, I was like, what in the fuck is wrong with that guitar tone? Plus, it seemed like it was like a couple of songs and a bunch of ambience. But now, this is one of my go-to Morbid Angel albums. The guitar tone fits it perfectly. It sounds like lava, and I think that's what he was trying to go for. But yeah, Morbid Angel's Heretic. Fucking gold now. Another one. I started off with this band during the Carcass, not Carcass, but Artwork era. Then went back and started picking up more of their stuff. This is Carcass, Petrifaction. God damn. Never said I was a speech therapist or anything like that. Hardly fucking talk at the time. But anyway, yeah, this album, when I first heard it, I think I was a long time before I'll ever listen to it again. And still, I appreciate this album. And every once in a while, I get a couple beers with me, turn up the treble on my stereo a little bit. This is a muddy, wet blanket mess, but it's killer. Once you wade through all the sludge and stuff, it's just absolute gem. Just gotta be in a certain mood to listen to it. But I'm pretty sure many of you agree. It's a reissue, of course, because they censor body parts. I don't want people seeing. It's alright to put it in medical books, but not on an album cover. Hypocrites. Anyway, another one. Anthrax, Fistful of Metal. Well, I'll probably get some frowns on that. I first got into Anthrax was, the first album I heard was Spreading the Disease. Absolutely loved it. And then I got Among the Living. Absolutely loved it. Decided to go back and get their first album. And this one, different singer. And I was like, they don't sound like Anthrax. So it took me a little while to get into this one. This one's a Mega Force 1992 reissue. Now I can tell you this album, I like it better than the ones I mentioned before. Nice little red and black splatter. This album's gold. I think the song that won me over was Soldiers of Metal, Death from Above, Subjugator, Howling Furies, Metal Thrashing Mad. This album's absolute fucking gem now. I love it. Yeah, Anthrax, Fistful of Metal. Took me a little bit to get into it. Another Anthrax, or not Anthrax, Carcass. So, like I said, I got into the Heartwork era, and the thing that came after that was Swan Song. When I first heard this, it was it sounded like Megadeth to me. It sounds like how Megadeth started putting out stuff like Cryptic Writings and stuff around this time, or Euthanasia. So it went from a grindcore death metal band to more of a like poppy thrash metal Megadeth moments. Yeah, but now pop this one in. Polarized is what grabbed me. And I heard that song and I was like, oh yeah, wait a minute. Let's do a couple more tracks. I'm like, fuck yeah, this is badass. But it just took me a little bit because it was a complete switch from Heartwork and Necroticism and Symphonies. So yeah, Carcass, Swan Song, badass album. It really is. Another one. Oh boy. I think there's still hate on this one. Dark Throne, Circle of Wagons. I picked this out, spun it, and it didn't spin forever. Actually, I don't even think I got past the first track when I first heard this album. And anyway, so one day I think I was watching somebody's video that was talking about how much they try getting into this album, they just can't do it. So I decided, well, I'll challenge myself, and I put it on there. And those treasures will never befall you. It gets stuck in my head. This is classic. This is, or it will be, I don't know what, 2010. It's a badass album. You know, it's a departure, and they do what they want to do. And now I see what they're going for with this album. This album is a fucking gem for Dark Throne. More Dark Throne stuff, gems, but badass shit. Circle the Wagons, yeah. If you haven't heard this album, put it in there. First song, you should just listen to it all the way through, and you'll see what I'm saying. It's badass shit. That's gonna give me a lot of hate. First time I heard this album, I remember it was 1990, something like that, and I remember telling my friend, take that dog shit out of the player. I don't want to hear that. What the fuck is that? And I thought, what the hell's wrong with that guy singing? What's he doing? And you know, I was new to death metal, real early, but this was like a step below death metal on the vocals. guttural, and it's so something else back then when you have fresh ears for a fresh band, and you're like, this is dog shit. But I don't know. One day I think I was watching Headbangers Ball, or I was watching something, and they mentioned Cannibal Corpse, and so I remember I think 2 days later I went to Camelot or whatever and popped a cassette. It was actually this one I bought. It was the Tomb of the Mutilated, and I got into that one, and then I started digging into more of their stuff. Now this is a treasure. These lyrics. Oh my gosh! I was reading these lyrics one day, and I was like, "Good grief." Early hours, open road, family of 5 on their way home. Having enjoyed a day in the sun, their encounter with gore had just begun. A homicidal fool, not knowing left from right, now has the family in his sight, trying to perceive if he's blind or insane. He steers his car into the other lane. God damn, this is gore treasure. Anyway, yeah. So now, this is a badass fucking album. It's one of my favorite death metal albums, actually, honestly. But back then when I first heard it, I thought it was garbage. Oh, another one. This is actually, I bought this the day it was released. Queensryche, Rage for Order, and I was used to the earlier, especially their debut and the one with Walk in the Shadows, and or is this? Yeah, this one's the one with Walk in the Shadows. Okay, so the 2 before this one, I can't. The name is escaping me. But when I first heard this album, I hated it. I mean, there had an industrial thing going, I think. I was like, what the fuck are they dressed like that for? But then one day it was Walking the Shadows that I heard on the radio, and I was like, what album is that one on? I went home to look for it, and it ended up being on the album I hated by them. So I was like, well, okay. So I listened to it, and Walking the Shadows, I played that, and I was like, son of a bitch, good. And then Dreaming Infrared came in, I'm like, god damn, this is a badass album. Turns out I love the whole fucking thing. And this is that copy. Very first copy I ever bought. Sat on my shelf forever before I really got into it. EMI. Yeah, good one. You guys are probably laughing at me because most people think this is a classic. It is, but it's not like those first couple albums. Another one. Yeah, Pantera is Far Beyond Driven. So this came out after Vulgar Display of Power, and I was looking more for that groove. This has some groove in it. It's not like Vulgar or Cowboys from Hell, but when I first heard this, I thought it was garbage. Phil didn't sing like he did on those first 2 records, and then this came in '93 too, didn't it? '93 was a disappointing year for me, but I can say I love this album now. I don't know what took me to start loving this album. But something clicked on it one day. I think it's probably my brother who plays this album all the time. I think it was Shedding Skin or one of those tracks that are really borderline thrashy death. And then now this album is actually one of my favorites by Pantera, and it's probably because I didn't burn myself out on it when it first came out like everybody else did. But yeah, Full Display, not Vulgar, Far Beyond Driven. And I actually seen them on this tour with Crowbar, Kansas City, and it was a badass show. Every time Dimebag played a guitar solo, I thought my ears were gonna start bleeding. Badass guitars. Another one I think most people can agree. You don't know what it is. It's Metallica's Black Album. When this first came out, I thought it was hot dog shit. I hated it. I was like, what in the fuck? I was used to. I mean, this is cliche. This is why every Metallica fan. I like the first ones, but you know, now getting older, I really like this album. Double LP, just like it was when I got it. I like it. Took a little bit to grow on me, but I think Holier Than Thou is the song that got me started listening to this again, and then now I listen to it all the time. So I don't want to fall under the Metallica cliches. I like the first albums. Because definitely the album's pretty good. It just was a departure from And Justice for All, Master of Puppets, Ride the Lightning, Kill 'Em All. Those, and you got this, and it sounds like heavy pop. The best way to describe this album. Heavy pop. But it's good. So, like it now. Another one. I'm a big Death fan. So, Sound of Perseverance by Death. I didn't like his vocals. It took a long time to get me into this album, but of course it's one of those records that now is probably on my turntable more than others. Badass shit. And this dude right here is from a town not too far from me, Mr. Richard Christie from Springfield, Missouri. Played in a band called Public Assassin back in the day. They played with a couple of bands around here, Squirm in particular, and bands you probably never heard of, but good shit. It was awesome to hear that he was in this band, but when I got this record, I actually got the CD first. Probably spun it once, and like, it's okay, but Chuck's vocals start to get up on my nerves, I think, that day, so I never listened to it again. But then one day, I think we had a bad snowstorm come, and so it was windy and all that shit, and I popped this thing in just for the hell of it, because I hadn't listened to it in a while, and it fucking clicked. Goddamn wife's hair on the back of my neck. So, yeah, anyway, Death, Sound of Perseverance. One of those ones when I first spun, hated it. Later, love it. Love, hate, hate, love. Drawn to a conclusion. I didn't know this video was going to take this long. Yeah, Wolverine Blues, Entombed. First heard this album. It was a big no for me. I like Left Hand Path, and this sounded like poppy, yeah, death metal, I guess. Now, I can tell you this is another one that I listen to a lot. And I don't know if it's because I burned myself out on Left Hand Path or Clandestine or anything like that, but now this album's just a freaking gem of Swedish death metal or death and roll, whatever you want to call it. Good shit. I'll move a couple CDs here, then I'll call it quits. Sorry. Air is dry here in Missouri today. Body armor. Okay, so this one dropped in '93. Yeah, so I don't know if I showed this. I might have showed this at the beginning of the video, maybe not. I don't know. Chaos AD, Sepultura. I saw them for the first time on this tour, but I hated this album when it first came out. I thought it was absolutely a heaping pile of Goldblum's freaking dinosaur shit in Jurassic Park. That's what I thought. I hated it. I was into Schizophrenia and Beneath the Remains and Morbid Visions and those type of Rise. And then, so I heard this, and Nu metal back then wasn't a thing, but this is almost nu metal to me. But now, I think Biotech and Godzilla. I heard that on the radio, and I didn't know it was on this album. But I was like, man, that's badass. Is that a hidden track? Somebody goes, no, it's on Chaos AD. Oh, you're fucking kidding me. So, went back and listened to this album. Now I feel like this album's a fucking gem. Badass shit. So, yeah, another one. Love, hate, love. Relationship. Another one. I'm a huge Judas Priest fan, but when I heard Rockarola for the first time, I didn't like it. I think there's a couple of these that'll be on their greatest hits, and I like Diamonds and Rust, the live version, that kind of stuff. But it took me a long time to get into this album. I think the first album I heard by Judas Priest would have been British Steel or Screaming for Vengeance, one of those two. Defenders of Faith is actually the first one I heard. Fucking love that album. And then it was a couple, and then I got this. Had a cassette I have has a bottle cap on it. It says Rock and Roll on it. But yeah, this is a gem now. I listen to this now. Maybe it's because I've gotten older, but this is one of my go-to Judas Priest records to listen to nowadays. And last, I'm a huge Incantation fan, but when this album first came out, it just seemed like blasphemy. I didn't like it. I was really into the first three, Onward and Mortal Throne and Diabolical and those type. And so whenever this come out, I think this is the first one with McEntee on vocals. I think it is. I didn't care for it. Make a long story short, I just didn't like it. So it sat on my shelf for this actual CD. It sat on my shelf forever, and I think I was on a Incantation kick and reached out and pulled this one out for some reason. Put it in the CD player, and I was blown away. I was like, why in the hell did I let that sit on the shelf? So this album aged well. One of my favorite go-to Incantation records. But anyway, so that concludes it, and hopefully this video is not too long. What I'm listening to in the background. Thanks, fellas, for all the comments and stuff I get lately. I appreciate it. It means a lot. I think I posted a couple of videos last night playing bass. I took them down. I was listening to it, and I sound like hot dog shit. Hot dog shit on a sunny day, and the runny kind. Later, all bye.